Wow. It's a great crowd. They said just before I came on, this is the biggest crowd they've ever had here by a factor of 3. 7,000 people. It's a big crowd. Here, anybody want? So, thank you all very much. We're having a good time, and we are going to do a job. We're going to win this great state. 24 days left. 24 days left. We will take back the White House, and we will make America great again. 24 days. This is some crowd on this beautiful morning. I hope the cameras, why don't you go ahead, fellas, show the crowd, please. Show the crowd. We're going to deliver real change that puts America first. We're going to negotiate and renegotiate and do tremendous deals. We're going to make new trade deals. We're going to reduce surging crime. Crime is at a level that it hasn't been at in a long time. The number of murders in our country is the highest it's been in 45 years. They don't tell you that. We're going to end illegal immigration. We're going to cut taxes and regulations. We're going to lift the restrictions on American energy. We're going to end Common Core, bring education local. We're going to reduce the cost of college, make child care more affordable, and repeal and replace the disaster commonly known as Obamacare. Your jobs will come back under a Trump administration. Your incomes will go up under a Trump administration. Your taxes will go way, way down under a Trump administration. And crooked Hillary is going to lift your taxes substantially. Your companies won't be leaving our country under a Trump administration. And let me tell you, right now, there are companies out there that some of you work for that are negotiating to leave our country and go to Mexico. You don't know it, but you'll be hearing it. But don't worry about it, because if I become president, they're not moving. They're not moving. We're going to be a rich country again. We're going to end government corruption. Hillary Clinton is the most corrupt person ever to seek the office, and you know this. You know this. You know this. She is the most corrupt person ever to seek the office of the presidency, and the media, donors, special interests who support her will do everything they can to cling to their power and their prestige at your expense. You know it. I know it. They know it. The Hillary Clinton documents released by WikiLeaks make more clear than ever, and they don't cover them the way they're supposed to be covering. There's bad, bad stuff they're not covering. Just how much is at stake in this election? The documents show the Clinton campaign colluding with the State Department and Justice Department over the investigation into Hillary's illegal email server that put your family and your country in very serious danger. You see that. They show how the Clintons ripped off the people of Haiti. They show the Clinton campaign viciously attacking Catholics and evangelicals. You saw that. They show how the media collaborates and conspires directly with the Clinton campaign. By the way, they show how the Clinton campaign gets the questions for the debates and the answers for the debates prior to the debate. And we still beat her easily in that debate. Can you believe that she got the questions and answers prior to, I guess, a Bernie debate? And you don't even hear about it. Can you imagine if I got the questions to a debate? It would be the biggest story worldwide You must immediately resign from the campaign. You don't even hear about it. She got the questions before a debate. To cover up her crimes, Hillary Clinton deleted 33,000 emails after, remember, not before, that would have been bad, after a congressional subpoena. So she gets a subpoena. She said, we got problems. Delete all the emails. Get rid of them. And she acid washed them. She lied to Congress under oath. She made 13 iPhones disappear, some with a hammer. Anybody ever get rid of their phone with a hammer? Oh, there are 3 or 4 people. I want to talk to them later. And now, just last week, we learned that 2 boxes of emails and evidence are mysteriously missing. They're gone. Hillary Clinton should have been prosecuted, and she should right now be in jail. She should be. She should be. The FBI and the Department of Justice created a fraud in allowing Hillary Clinton to get away with her terrible crimes. And I guarantee you, the Clintons are laughing like hell at them right now. The director's performance in Congress, coupled with Bill Clinton's clandestine meeting on the tarmac with the Attorney General in her airplane just prior to decision time on Hillary Clinton's future, supposedly talking about golf and grandchildren for 39 minutes. Secret meeting. And remember, he just happened to be there. He was going to play golf in Arizona. I love Arizona. It's one of my favorite places. But at that particular time of the year, it was like, 110 degrees out, right? And he wasn't seen playing golf that day after the meeting. I guess he decided to cancel his golf. Now, just happened to be, oh, look, there's the Attorney General's plane. Maybe I'll hop on, give my regards to the Attorney General. Folks, there's never been a situation like this in the history of our country. It's the lowest point in those departments' history. FBI people, who are phenomenal people, must be spinning at what's going on with the FBI. Spinning. Instead of being held accountable, Hillary is running for president in what looks like a rigged election. Okay? It looks to me like a rigged election. The election is being rigged by corrupt media, pushing completely false allegations and outright lies in an effort to elect her president. And you know what I mean. In fact, today, the cousin of one of these people . In fact, today, the cousin of one of these people, very close to her, wrote a letter that what she said is a lie. That she was a huge fan of Donald Trump. That she invited Donald Trump to a restaurant to have dinner. Which, by the way, I didn't go to. Didn't even know who the heck we're talking about here. But these allegations have been, many of them already proven so false. And in fact, the other one with People magazine, the butler, said it was a total lie. Remember the butler? The butler said it was a total lie. We can't let them get away with this, folks. We can't. Total lies. And you've been seeing total lies. But we're going to stop it. We're not going to back down. And remember this, it's a rigged election because you have phony people coming up with phony allegations with no witnesses whatsoever, ending up from 20 years ago, 30 years ago. How about this crazy woman on the airplane? Okay? I mean, can anybody believe that one? How about this? After 15 minutes, we don't know each other. After 15 minutes, she said, well, that was too much. And I decided, 15 minutes? With the ladies in this place, it would be 1 second and it would be smack. 15 minutes. No, it's a crazy world we're living in. But that's what I mean. It's a rigged election because they're taking these unsubstantiated, no witnesses, putting them on the front pages of newspapers. So it's a rigged election, but we're not going to let it happen. And we're just getting started. Americans have had it with the years and decades of Clinton corruption. You can go back to Whitewater. You can go back to the cattle deal. Remember the cattle deal? Where she got a far greater return on investment than anybody in the history of the cattle business. I mean, give me a break. These are crooked people. Hence, I call her Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary. And right now, she's resting for the debate. So, she's resting. She's resting for the debate. She's resting. Well, she rested for the last debate. She didn't do too well. And she said she's practicing for the next debate. She called it debate prep, right? Right now she's in debate prep. I don't know. This is Saturday. That's going to be Wednesday. If you got to study all that, you're supposed to know this stuff. You know, she's supposed to be so experienced, right? Supposed to know this stuff. What are you going to learn in 5 days? I mean, she's supposed to be so experienced. Sort of, you know what's interesting though to me? She's supposed to know it, and yet when she was being investigated by the FBI, when she did on the 4th of July weekend, by the way, with no tape recorders going, with no swearing in, when she gave her testimony, she didn't have to swear. This was a little different than they treated Martha Stewart, but it's a little different. With no tape recorders going, with no swearing in on the 4th of July, 39 times, I don't remember. So maybe that's why she has to debate prep, because she's got a bad memory. No, a lot of things are going on, folks. A lot of things. I think she's actually getting pumped up. If you want to know the truth, she's getting pumped up. You understand? In fact, we're going to be talking about that in a few minutes. She's getting pumped up for Wednesday night. Let's see. You know, I don't know. Maybe we're like athletes, right? Hey, look, I beat 17 senators, governors. I beat all these people. We're like athletes. Hillary beat Bernie, although it looks like Bernie got a little bit of a bad deal based on WikiLeaks, right? If you look at WikiLeaks. But we're like athletes, right? So athletes, they're making them more and more, but athletes, they make them take a drug test, right? I think we should take a drug test prior to the debate. I do. I think we should. Why do we do that? We should take a drug test prior, because I don't know what's going on with her. But at the beginning of her last debate, she was all pumped up at the beginning. And at the end, it was like, oh, take me down. She could barely reach her car. So I think we should take a drug test. Anyway, I'm willing to do it. These people get rich stealing your jobs and shipping them to other countries all over the world, in particular, in your case, Mexico. And I know what happened to New England. I have so many friends in New England. I have so many great friends in New England, including Tom Brady and Coach Belichick. How good is Tom? How good is Tom? How good is Tom? Remember he opened his door last year and he had the red hat sitting there. They said, what's that all? How good is Tom? They said, well, maybe Tom, what did he throw for? 300 or 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And what a good coach, right? What a good coach. The coach, but he's great. That's a great group of people. This will finally be the year the American people say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Speaking in a secret meeting to a foreign bank, Hillary Clinton said her dream is to totally open trade and open borders. That means that's the end of your jobs. It's the end of your job. By open trade, she means foreign countries can cheat us out of millions and millions of jobs and trillions of dollars. That's what she means. It also means, seriously, it means the end of the jobs that weren't taken by the disaster known as NAFTA. That's what it means. By open borders, she means totally unlimited immigration. When she thought no one was listening, Hillary Clinton was plotting to destroy the sovereignty of the United States. Either we win this election or we lose the country. I really believe this is the last chance we have to win. I really believe that. Not going to happen again. It's not going to happen again. A Trump administration will secure and defend our borders. And yes, we will build a wall. A wall will not only keep out dangerous cartels and criminals, but it will also keep out the drugs and heroin that's poisoning our youth. It's poisoning our youth. And by the way, Mexico, maybe they don't know it yet, Mexico will pay for that wall, 100%. 100%. They could be helping us much more with this problem if we had leadership in this country that said, folks, you better help. They're making a fortune with us on trade. They're killing us on the borders, but they're making a fortune with us. We have a trade deficit with Mexico that you wouldn't believe. They will pay for the wall in some form. Believe me, there's about 12 forms they can do it. They'll pick the one that looks the best. They will pay for the wall. Remember, don't forget, you were the ones. I won New Hampshire, my first victory, right? When I won the primary, I promised the people of New Hampshire that I would stop drugs from pouring into your community. Remember that? I said struggling. I'm going to do it. See, I'm not a politician. I'm going to do it. They won't do it. With them, it's just talk. It's just talk. And they have people that make a lot of money on the drug business, believe me, and they're contributors to them. I will have over $100 million spent in my campaign. Okay, over 100. Plus, we're getting a lot of money coming in from small donors. But I'll have over $100 million spent. Whereas in fact, I asked her the other night, you made $250 million. Why don't you put in 10, 15, or 20 into your own campaign? Put something in, right? But she doesn't want to do. She's too greedy. I'm now doubling down on that promise that I made to the people of New Hampshire and can guarantee you we will not only stop the drugs from pouring in, but we will help all of those people so seriously addicted. We'll get them assistance. We'll make sure that they have the top treatment and get better. We got to get them better. Got a lot of people that are strung out on bad stuff. And it had a big impact. I'll tell you what, New Hampshire, I have a lot of friends in New Hampshire. I love New Hampshire. But it had a big impact on me because I look at the trees. I think that it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. And when I really got to know a lot of the people, I'd meet with groups, small groups, big groups, but small groups. And I'd say, what's the biggest problem? They'd say, drugs. And I said, drugs? How could that be? You know, you look at the streams and the beautiful little winding roads and all of the beauty up here, the lakes. And I said, drugs doesn't work. And it made an impression. And I'd go from group to group to group. What's your biggest problem? Heroin, heroin, heroin. I got to know your police. You have unbelievable police people up here. Police people are unbelievable. Your law enforcement groups. And they're here greeting me all over the place because they all endorse me. These people, they like Trump, okay? What can I tell you? But you have unbelievable law enforcement. And I got to know him during, it was a pretty traumatic campaign, right? That's when I came up with Low Energy Jeb, right? And the only reason I say that is because he dishonored his pledge. He dishonored his pledge. along with a couple of others. They signed a pledge and they dishonored it. They all signed the pledge so that I would sign it. And I would have honored it, no matter who won. But they dishonored their pledge. That's not good. But I got to know the community very well. And I will tell you, will they ever forget, right? Hey, look, it was a rough campaign. And some of these guys, some governors, they lost more viciously and in a more brutal contest than they've ever had in their lives before. Don't forget, I wasn't supposed to win. I was a businessman with no experience, but I was always very political, but I had no experience. And they had, when I was 4 months into the campaign, they did a study. They said, in experience, Trump had 4 months experience, and they had, cumulatively, they had 233 years. So it was 4 months versus 230. So the geniuses back there, Charles Krauthammer, there's a real winner. There's a real winner. Charles Krauthammer. He says, Donald Trump has no experience and he has no chance. Remember when in Massachusetts I got almost 50% of the vote with 11 people, right? I had 49.7%. And they said, and we had like 11 people left. And they said, he did not get 50%. I said, how do you get 50% when you have 11 people running, right? So anyway, these are total losers. And by the way, it shows we're up 1 or 2 points here. My people tell me we're up a lot in New Hampshire, so I think we will. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I think we're going to win New Hampshire big. So it made a big impact on me, even for the rest of the country, because I got to know the people of New Hampshire so well. When they said their number one problem, is it still? I mean, that's like, they didn't talk about all of the other problems that we have. They said it was heroin pouring into the community, and drugs, but heroin. And I said to them that if I win, if I get elected president, I'm going to solve that problem. And I mean it to every community, but I mean it so much, maybe more than ever, because you're the ones that really showed me the gravity of the problem of drugs pouring in, mostly from the southern border, into our community and into your community. We're going to take care of it. New Hampshire is one of the highest drug overdose rates, if you look at it, and death rates in the country. It's hard to believe. So we have to solve this crisis, and we will. I have to give credit to my running mate, Mike Pence. Has he been great? Has he been great? He is a great guy. Mike increased the mandatory minimum sentences for the most serious drug offenders while expanding access to treatment and prevention options for those struggling with addiction in Indiana. And they love the job he's done. He's done such a great job in Indiana, and he's been such a great friend and such a loyal friend to me. And I appreciate it. He and his wife and his family, his wife, Karen. Been great. That was a good choice. Well, you know, leadership is about who you're picking. So now everyone's giving me great credit. And by the way, talking about debates, did he knock the hell out of Tim Kaine? That was like the New England Patriots playing my high school football team, okay? We must make similar efforts a priority for our nation. That's what we have to do for our nation. Not too long ago, we read about Christopher Honor and Courtney Griffin, a young Rockingham couple, and this was a beautiful couple, just a beautiful couple, who died of an overdose within a year of each other. Their story of prescription drugs, heroin, wait times for treatment, and missed opportunity in the court system are a tragic reminder of why we need to plan to end the opioid epidemic. We have such an epidemic. We have such an epidemic in this country, and people don't know it. And the people that do know it, sometimes it's too late. And we have to end this epidemic. First, we will stop the flow of illegal drugs into our country. The number of heroin seizures on the border has tripled, but it's got to go much, much higher. That's a tiny fraction of what's coming in. I've received the first ever endorsement of our Border Patrol agents, and just last week, our ICE officers. And these are great people, by the way. These are people that want to do the job, and they're not being allowed to do their job for economic reasons. And under a Trump administration, we will work with them to end the flow of drugs across our border. And when they gave me the endorsement, I asked them, how important is a wall? They said, Mr. Trump, it's so important, you have no idea. And that made me feel good. That made me feel good because we need it. We're also going to put an end to sanctuary cities which refuse to turn over illegal immigrants and refused to turn over drug traffickers for deportation. We will dismantle and you know we have to do this, we have to dismantle the illegal immigrant cartels and violent gangs, and we will send them swiftly out of our country, back to their countries, and they're not coming back in. And if you remember Hillary Clinton, when we brought killers, drug dealers, gang members back to countries, and intelligently their countries said, we're not taking them. They don't want them. We're not taking them. She said, oh, bring them back. That's not going to happen with Trump, believe me. There won't be one case. There won't be one case. In 4 years or 8 years, let's see what happens. There won't be one case where those people are brought to their country and come back into our country. There won't be one. We will aggressively prosecute traffickers of illegal drugs and provide law enforcement and prosecutors with the resources and support they need to properly do their jobs. President Obama, who spends most of his time campaigning for crooked Hillary, this guy spends all his time campaigning. He ought to be working on jobs and lowering taxes. President Obama has commuted the sentences of record numbers of high-level drug traffickers. Can you believe this? Many of them kingpins and violent armed traffickers with extensive criminal histories and records. I mean, honestly, the whole thing is unbelievable. And why I'm like not winning, she said, why aren't I winning? She's not winning because everything she touches is terrible. But in New Hampshire, why aren't I up through the roof? This is crazy. Hillary Clinton, now, when you look at what they've done, when you look at her, let's look at her. Everything she touches turns bad. Her foreign policy is a disaster. Her views on the border are a disaster. She wants to have everybody flow into the country. She wants Syrian refugees to pour into our country. We have no idea who they are, where they come from. Hillary Clinton promises to continue and expand this approach, turning our streets back over to gangs, drug cartels, and armed career criminals that we're not going to get out of our country. And I want everything to be law and order and justice and everything perfect, everything perfect. But folks, we have to take our country back. We have to take our country back. Over the last few years, this administration has been steadily dismantling the federal criminal justice system, especially with respect to her. It's been totally dismantled. I'll tell you what, there's never been a lower day, and I said it before, in the history of the FBI or the Justice Department than this period of time. I will tell you that. Tens of thousands of drug dealers have been released from prison, and they've been released early, including many illegal immigrants, regardless of their history of violence or ties to transnational gangs and cartels. They're released early all the time. They're released early. They get off for good behavior. Within an hour, they're back on the streets doing their number. Second, we will close the shipping loopholes that China and others are exploiting to send dangerous drugs across our borders and into the hands of our Postal Service. These traffickers use loopholes in the Postal Service to mail fentanyl and other drugs to users and dealers all over the United States. It comes right through the mail, okay? That won't be happening. A Trump administration will crack down on this abuse and give law enforcement the tools they need to accomplish this mission, and rapidly. Rapidly. Third, we will fix the misguided rules and regulations that have made this problem worse. It's a tragedy enough that so many Americans are struggling with life-threatening addiction. We're going to work with them. We're going to really work with them. It's the biggest problem. We should not compound that tragedy with government policies and bureaucratic rules that make it even harder for them to get the help that they so desperately need. The FDA has been far too slow to approve abuse-deterring drugs. They have some drugs that really can help, and it just doesn't happen. For years and years, they study, and years. These are people that are dying. These are people that are committing suicide. We have to move it along, and we can move. And there are some things that are amazing that they have, and they're not approving them. And when the FDA has approved these medications, the rules have been far too restrictive, severely limiting the number of authorized prescribers as well as the number of patients each doctor can treat. We have a problem here. We have millions and millions of people in our country that are badly addicted and that will die soon. We have to move it along. Recovery medications have the potential to save thousands and thousands of lives. We prescribe opioids like OxyContin. We do that freely. But when patients become addicted to those drugs, we stop doctors from giving patients the treatments they medically need to get better. It will help. It will help. And many of these people, again, they're going to be dying. What's taking so long, years and years? As president, I'd work to lift the cap on the number of patients that doctors can treat. They have a cap, provided they follow safe prescribing practices and proper treatment supervision. At the same time, DEA should reduce the amount of Schedule II opioids, drugs like OxyContin, methadone, and fentanyl. And they have to. The fentanyl is also a tremendous problem that can be made and sold in the United States. We have 5% of the world's population, but use 80% of prescription opioids. That's an amazing statistic. Finally, we will give people struggling with addiction access to the help they need. Congress has already taken the first step by passing the Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act. This legislation is an important step in the right direction. I would expand incentives for states and local governments to use drug courts and mandated treatment. And by the way, your police, and I know in this area, because I know your police very well in this area, have done an amazing job. Boy, they are against a fight that's unbelievable. But your police have done an amazing job. They can be cost-effective, appropriate, and humane, and the response to the addiction can be incredible. I would dramatically expand access to treatment slots and end Medicaid policies that obstruct inpatient treatment. You got to do this. I would dramatically expand first responders and caregivers' access to Narcan and antidote that really, it's an antidote that treats overdoses and saves thousands of lives and supposedly is amazing. There are a lot of amazing things out there, but we're not getting to use them. I would also restore accountability to our Veterans Administration. Too many of our brave veterans have been prescribed these dangerous and addictive drugs by the VA that should have been paying them and really paying better attention to what's going on. The VA has been such a disaster all over the country. And we're going to take care of our veterans better than they've ever been taken care of before. Remember that. Our veterans, in many cases, are not treated as well. Remember this. They're not treated as well as illegal immigrants come pouring into the country. Our veterans are not treated as well, in many cases. Our veterans are going to be taken care of really well for the first time. These are our great people. Together, these steps will ensure that every American struggling with addiction has access to the care and the help that he or she needs, and in most cases, and some cases, desperately needs. But if we're going to bring hope back to our communities, we only have to solve lots of problems, but we have to also solve the problems of the economic crisis that we have, because we have an economic crisis. Jobs are gone. Our companies are, a lot of them have left. A lot of our best companies have left. The wealth has been raided from our country, leaving behind dilapidated communities, rusted out factories, and shattered dreams. I mean, we drive around here and you see buildings that were thriving 20 years ago, and now those companies are located in Mexico and other places. Not going to happen, folks. At the center of our economic revival will be fixing our terrible trade deals. It's just terrible. You look at NAFTA, you look at what's happened. And speaking of that, 47 million Americans are living in poverty. 45 million Americans are on food stamps. Think of that, in this country. We have nearly an $800 billion annual trade deficit in goods with the world, and the worst so-called recovery since the Great Depression. It's not a recovery. It's only a recovery on Wall Street, and that's because it's a big, fat bubble that's going to explode as soon as interest rates go up. And Obama doesn't want to raise the interest rates because he doesn't want to go down the way he should go down. It's a big, fat, ugly bubble. You watch. It's horrible. Horrible that he's been able to get away with this. And he's doubled the debt during his relatively short tenure. Over the life of our country, in what will be 8 years, he will have doubled the debt to 20 trillion, from 10 trillion to 20 trillion. And you know what? And we didn't do anything. What did we do? We didn't build our roads. We didn't build our hospitals. We didn't build our tunnels, our bridges. I mean, the place is a mess. You know, it's one thing if it's tippy-top, the roads are good, and we have debt. But we haven't even started yet. Our airports are a laughing stock all over the world. This is the legacy of Obama Clinton. The state of New Hampshire has lost nearly 1 in 3 manufacturing jobs since NAFTA signed by Bill Clinton and very strongly supported by crooked Hillary. Since China entered the World Trade Organization, another bill Hillary backed, and this is a Bill Clinton deal also. And listen to this, because I thought this has to be a mistake. I said, no, it can't be 70. It has to be like maybe 700. 70,000 factories have shut down or left the United States. 70,000. Millions of jobs. 70,000. I went back to my people. I said, do me a favor, you made a typo. Can't be 70,000 factories. 70,000. It was right. Sadly, it wasn't a typo. That's 15 factories a day closing on average. 15 a day. Tells you it's a big country. But 15 factories. We're living through the greatest jobs theft in the history of the world. Never in the history of the world has there been a theft of jobs like what other countries have done to the United States. And by the way, your area here, just about the top of the line. You understand that. She goes, no kidding. They know. You know. Companies like Carrier, General Electric, Motorola, Mattel, Fiat, Chrysler, so many, hundreds and hundreds are moving their jobs to Mexico. And I'm telling you, right now, companies are negotiating from this area to move to Mexico. It's not pretty. Won't happen if I'm elected. Not going to happen. Not going to happen, because they'll know that if they go to Mexico and they build their product in Mexico and want to sell it into the United States, and they're going to fire all these people from, whether it's New Hampshire or anywhere else. I was in North Carolina last night, same thing. They're going to pay a 35% tax on that product coming back in, and they're not going to move. They're not going to move. No chance of them moving. And you know what? I've been watching for 10 years our federal government thinking about ways. They give them low-interest loans. They give them zero-interest loans. They do all sorts of things. Doesn't stop. They don't need money. But when you tell them there are consequences to pay when you fire people from this area or any area in the United States, and you think you're going to move to someplace and make product and sell it to us? No. See, we're not going to be, folks, we're not going to be the stupid people anymore. We're not going to be the stupid people. Right here in New Hampshire, I visited the Osram Sylvania plant. I remember Sylvania Television years ago was a big thing. Today, forget it. Does anybody make a television set in the United States? We don't make anything anymore. Today, I buy thousands of television sets a year. Thousands. Everything's South Korea, other than Sony, which is Japan. Everything is South Korea, right? You have all South Korea. LG and everything. And I get bids. I say, let's try. Can we find somebody in the United States? Nobody makes them in the United States. I just see the name Sylvania. I haven't seen that name for a long time. But you know it because they moved. That closed its doors in 2014 and shipped its jobs to China and Mexico. Meaning your jobs didn't go. Meaning your business went to China and Mexico. Your jobs are gone. They're gone. If I win, day one, we are going to announce our plans to totally renegotiate NAFTA. If we don't get the deal we want, we'll leave NAFTA and start over again, and we will make much better trade deals. And we're going to have trade deals, but we're going to have good trade deals. We're going to have trade deals where jobs come into our country. We're going to have 2-lane highways, not one. Right now, our trade deal, NAFTA, by the way, the worst trade deal ever made in the history of the world, not the United States. The worst, the dumbest trade deal ever made. Even if you look at the taxing systems are different. They have a VAT system. We have our system. So immediately, and you know, when the deal was made, they made a mistake. That was many years ago. Nobody ever fixed the mistake because they start off with a 16% advantage just because of the way we tax. It's a little complicated, but it doesn't matter. All I'm telling you is they made a mistake. It's a defective deal. That's why. How often do you see deals coming the other way? You never see it. They're all going to Mexico. I tell the story because it's better than hiring a consultant. Hire a consultant, you pay them $1 million and they know nothing. A friend of mine builds plants. And I was talking to him. I said, how's business? He said, unbelievable. I said, oh, good. That sounds great. Where are you building good? Mexico. I said, oh, what about the United States? And he's from the United States. He'd rather be saying the United States. I said, well, how's Mexico doing? He said, Donald, it's the 8th wonder of the world. We're building some of the greatest plants anywhere in the world in Mexico. You have to see. I say, I don't want to see. I don't want to see. You know, Ford is moving there now, and Carrier, and there's so many companies. He said, we're building some. I said, how about the United States? He goes, not good, not good. How stupid are we? How stupid are our leaders? And it's not just stupidity. It's campaign contributions, it's PACs, it's all of this stuff. Even if they know better, and they're not all stupid. A lot of them are, but they're not all stupid. But they won't do it because they have to take care of their donors and their special interests. We're going to, well, and I tell you this very strongly, to me, one of the most important statements. We are going to start making things again in America. You're going to see the day during my term that Apple opens up in this country, and Apple and other companies like Apple make their product in this country. Forget about China, forget about Remember this, with me, it's America first. You don't hear that. America first. And we're going to have good relationships with Mexico. We're going to have I met with the president of Mexico 2 months ago. I'm sure you read about it. It was pretty wild. And he's a nice guy. He's a very nice guy. We're going to have a great relationship with Mexico. But we have to explain to Mexico it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. It's got to come both ways, not just one way into you. We get the drugs, we get the unemployment, right? They get the cash, they get the companies, and they get the jobs. I would say that's not a very good deal, don't you think? But we're going to start making things again. We're going to be America first, and we're going to see Apple, and we're going to see other companies like Apple start opening plants in this country. And we're going to, and believe me, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. As sure as you're standing there, that's going to happen. As part of our plan to bring back our jobs, we're going to lower our business tax from 35% to 15%. We will have a 10% tax on money parked overseas, bringing trillions and trillions of dollars in wealth back into our country. They can't bring their money back in. You know, you have many companies leaving our country to get their money. because there's no way of bringing it back in. The tax is so high, and the bureaucracy is even worse. Manufacturers will be able to expense the cost of new investment and equipment to help make our country much more competitive, because we're not even competitive now. We're one of the highest taxed, we're actually the highest taxed major country anywhere in the world by far. We are going to be one of the lower taxed. I'd like to say the lowest, but we won't be. But we'll be one of the lower taxed in the world. We will lower taxes massively on all Americans. Hillary is looking to raise your taxes massively, massively. We will become the great jobs magnet of the world. Wages will rise. Jobs will return. The factories that I told you about will come rushing back onto our shores. And just to finish up, here are some of the amazing things we're going to do for our country starting in 2017. And remember, it only works November 8th. You got to get out. You got to vote. You got to vote. I jokingly say, if you go to your doctor and you get a prognosis that's the ultimate in badness, he says it's over. You got a month to live. Doesn't make any difference. On November 8th, you get out of bed. You get out. Think of your children. Think of your grandchildren. Get out and vote. I'm kidding. You got to get out and vote. You got to get out. We're going to have the biggest tax cut since Ronald Reagan, and actually it could be even bigger than that. Very importantly, we're going to eliminate every unnecessary regulation that are choking people and choking our country. We are going to defend our religious liberty. We're going to reduce the cost of college tuition. We are going to rebuild for our great, great people in the military. We're going to rebuild our depleted military. And we are going to take care of our veterans. We are going to repeal and replace Obamacare. Very important for New Hampshire. This is under siege. We are going to save our Second Amendment. It's under siege. And the NRA, National Rifle Association, endorsed me, the earliest endorsement they've ever given, and they are terrific people. And we're going to appoint justices to the United States Supreme Court who will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. You have 24 days to make every dream you ever dreamed for your family, for your country, come true. You have 24 days. And if we don't win, as I said before, if we don't win, I don't think it's ever going to happen again. Our country is going to be in a spiral that won't be stopped. On November 8th, the arrogance of Washington, D.C. will come face to face with the righteous verdict of the American voter. I am going to fight. I am going to fight so hard. Hey, I had a great life. I got the best publicity. I have a great company. I built this incredible company. My life was so wonderful. Now I'm loving this because we're doing something that's going to be amazing. But we have to pull it off. It's going to be amazing. It's a movement the likes of which they've never seen before. They've never seen. Look at this crowd all the way back. It's a movement the likes of which they've never seen before. I am going to fight for every citizen of every background from every stretch of this nation. And I'm going to fight to bring us all together as Americans. Imagine what our country could accomplish if we started working together as one people under one God, saluting one American flag. In 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years, you're going to look back at this rally for the rest of your life. You're going to remember this day. This is a movement like people have never seen in this country before. We're going to make history together. Remember, it's a rigged system. It's a rigged election. We're going to beat the rigged system. We're going to beat the rigged election. You're going to look back at this election and say, this is by far the most important vote I've ever cast for anyone at any time in my life. Once again, we're going to have a government of, by, and for the people. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.